Welcome to Dice and Mind, a podcast hosted by Brad Brown and Jason Kaufman to explore the intersection of life, games, science, music, philosophy, and creativity through interviews with leading creatives. All are welcome in this space.
This is one of these episodes that I've been looking forward to for a while because we've known about the book we're going to talk about for quite a while. We've been wanting to get this group of authors on for a while. We've had the authors on individually or in
Combinations,
combinations for a while, but we haven't had them together like this. And we haven't had a group of this size together in an interview since, I think, Mythic Thunderloop way back.
Excellent. But that was still just the two guys.
Was it just the two?
Yeah, it was the two guys. You are right. We've never had a team of four. We've never had that before.
Oh, so this is a trailblazing episode in many different forms.
It is. So let's just do a little bit of history, of retrospective. Okay, so back in the day, you and I were talking before we clicked record. You and I were talking about being younger, like 10 and preteen, but for completely unrelated reasons. But let's just go. Let's go back to to the very earliest 90s, like 89, 90, and then through the 90s. There is I think I can say this. I think this is legit. I don't think this is hyperbolic at all. You tell me.
I'm not sure where you're going with this.
You'll see. You'll know where I'm going with this. There is a short list of books, manuals, if you will.
Yes, I know.
Dating back to the original Starfleet Technical Manual.
Yes.
Right, for TOS, which I was introduced to by a friend in 10th grade. So that must have been right around 89.
Scott?
No, Ken. You don't know, no,
okay.
a friend in
I
high
never met
school.
Yep.
A friend in high school. Scott had not yet introduced me to role playing with Star Wars.
Okay.
This was a couple years before, and I mean, I was, I had already been a serious Trekkie for quite some time, right? We've talked about this ad nauseum on Dice and Mind. You and me both, right? Me because of the films primarily. But this just opened my eyes, and then of course later during the TNG era, while TNG was in sway, we got the TNG technical manual, which only a few years ago did I read for the first time cover to cover, several years ago, and it was brilliant.
You read it cover to cover.
I'd never done that as a kid.
I never did that.
I never did as a kid, and it is worth the read, my friend. And then of course there were other. Now those were so like we were talking about Sternbach.
I did DS9s. I did DS9s.
Okay, so I've never read that cover to cover, but so like I'm looking at my shelf, and I have a whole, unsurprisingly, a whole Star Trek section next to the RPG stuff. But so we have, the Akuta Compendia. I have a couple iterations of that, couple versions. I've got the technical manuals, the original species, right? A couple companions, the encyclopedia, the chronology, right? So Sternbach, Akutas, Nemechek, right? And we were so fortunate to have Larry Nemechek on Dice and Mind not all that long ago. Larry, if you're listening, and I'm sure you're not, but thank you again, because that was just so deeply meaningful. I think for both of us, certainly it was for me.
Oh, big time.
I've got the TNG, the Enterprise D blueprints, right? All of this. Okay. Tonight we are advancing, right? Looking at the 60th anniversary of Star Trek in 2026, and what's coming out this November 12th.
Oh, this one, Star Trek timelines. This is, this one, This one I think is going to be one that, oh, I don't think this one I'm going to read. I'm going to sit and read just
Oh,
because
without question.
it is an amalgamation of all the Trek shows, everything, all the timelines of everything put together. You're going to see it all like it's I'm just thinking to myself, I can't imagine just being able to see how everything just fits. I'm
And
thinking of
it's
my
canon because it's Paramount and it's DK, so it's going to work visually.
yeah, and I'm just thinking to myself of how, you know, and this is such a terrible analogy, and I apologize to the authors for this, but how all these different individual ingredients come together and bake a beautiful cake. This is what I'm
Yes,
thinking
yes.
of it, and how all these individual shows are so good, and it created this beautiful cake, which is the Star Trek, the Trek verse. And now I'm going to be able to read and see the whole history of the future, the whole history of the future.
It is as if we are sitting in 10 forward and the chocolate souffle was just delivered to Commander Troy, right? Everything's there before us.
Yeah, you said it better than me. Thank you.
Well, not really.
Yeah.
You sucked me up with the cake. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we're both kind of a Twitter about this, and part of it, I think, part of it, I know, is this is a monumental work. I mean, this is a big one, everybody. The fact that we're getting a book like this for Trek that encapsulates the full first 60 years. I mean, how long has it been since anything like this has come from Trek? It's been decades. It's been
Yeah.
decades. I think the other element for you and me that is deeply special at a human, collegial, and friend level is we know all four authors.
Hmm.
And they are just really lovely people. They're obviously really creative, but they're really lovely people. And seeing the joy they have around this project, it makes it even better.
And to know how much work they put into this
Oh my God.
while keeping it under wraps with everything
Oh
else
my
they had
God.
going on.
Okay, so Jim Johnson, he can keep a secret like no one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I will never play poker with Jim.
No,
Never,
no,
never.
no.
But everyone was so quiet. We need to just hop over there, I think. But
Yeah.
I do think we should specify something, or clarify something. So we have by no means the very first interview with the Star Trek Timelines writing team. We weren't in a rush. We reached out as soon as this was announced to invite them. They were very gracious and jumped at the chance, but of course they've been on at least half a dozen other shows already, as is our norm, and we told them this before we started recording. We wanted to take a different approach and not waste their time and bring all of you, our dear listeners, something they hadn't heard from others. So you're obviously going to hear some overlap with the other interviews. For example, the four of them, Derek, Jim, Kelly, Michael, they were on. I don't know if it was the first one, but the Sci-Fi Sisters had them on. It's
Yep.
a great episode. For so many reasons about and beyond the book. It's such a good listen. It's so funny. It's so interesting. And if, like me, you have a thing for bookstores and especially indie bookstores, listen to the whole thing through till the
Hmm.
end. You'll get a little hint of that in our discussion with the writing team. But you'll notice, even though the team understandably lapsed into what were some of their favorites and like some of the shared experiences that have been said elsewhere, we really tried to, what do you call it, Brad? We wanted to learn more about making the sausage.
Sausage making.
There you go. So, and again, we know them, and we know kind of who they are as writers and what motivates them, and so hopefully you'll have half as much fun listening to this as we had doing it.
Talking about it. Yeah.
Kelli Fitzpatrick is a science fiction writer, game writer, and teacher. She's the author of Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers Declassified from BenBella Books 2025, and is a contributing writer for the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game from Modiphius. Her Star Trek story, The Sunwalkers, won the 2016 Strange New Worlds contest from Simon and Schuster. Her short fiction has been published by Baen Books, Crazy 8 Press, Flash Fiction Online, and others, and her essays on sci-fi pop culture appear at StarTrek.com, Women at Warp, and in anthologies from Sequart and ATB Publishing. She has written for NASA's Hubble Space Telescope Outreach Team and Arizona State University's Interplanetary initiatives. She has over a decade of experience teaching high school and college courses. Find her at KelliFitzpatrick.com and on Bluesky at Kelli Fitz Writes. Derek Tyler Attico is a speculative fiction author, essayist, and award-winning photographer. In fiction, Derek has won the Excellence in Playwriting Award from the Dramatists Guild of America, and he is a two-time winner of the Star Trek Strange New Worlds short story contest Alpha and Omega, The Dreamer and the Dream, published by Simon and Schuster. Derek is also the author of the best-selling, critically acclaimed Star Trek novel The Autobiography of Benjamin Sisko by Titan Publishing. Jim Johnston was born about the same time Apollo 12 landed on the moon, and has always been kind of spacey, and shares a birthday with the Kindle. He is the author of the Pistols and Pyramids Weird Western series and the Potomac Shadows Urban Fantasy series. He's also written a bunch of other stuff in and around the sci-fi and fiction genres and pen and paper RPGs. He's currently the project manager and line editor for Modiphius' Star Trek Adventures RPG. Michael Dismuke is a certified professional in talent development and certified leadership development and succession strategist. He is a national speaker trainer and consultant, a freelance writer for the Star Trek Adventures RPG, and a published comic creator.
Well, we have a ensemble show. We've had everybody on here, I think at least once.
Oh yeah,
It is, I'll call it a show of shows.
yes.
Um,
Derek, is this your
and
only your second time with us?
I think so,
Yeah,
right?
I
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on
we
behalf
talked,
of
we
us
talked,
both, we apologize. We'll get you up to
I'm
the
happy to be
smoking
on. What are
jacket
you
like
talking
Jim.
about? What are you
yeah,
apologizing
yeah.
for?
You're gonna be at
What?
you'll be at smoking jacket level quite shortly. So, or at least Dyson Mine sweatshirt level, because Jason, I think you've already started working on the the designs, right?
Yeah, we have to talk merch
So
later. Yeah.
yeah, we've got the merch going. But thanks everybody for joining. We've got this one we have been planning for a while. Y'all have been teasing. We'll talk a
Oh
bit
my
about the
God.
book in a minute. You've
Yes.
teased this a little bit. You made me hit the pocketbook a little earlier than I expected. Pre-ordered that puppy right away, Star Trek Timelines.
Mm.
Um, and I don't even know where to begin or who to begin with, but um,
Well, I'm going
you
to interrupt.
you well, not I know where you're going to go with this because we don't
Oh,
want to necessarily talk about the same things
good.
we always talk about, which is how did it come to fruition and things like that. But um, ultimately, we have some different questions to ask you all that might be a little different than traditional. But if you don't mind, for those that may have not heard you in some of our other friends' podcasts, how did kind of the book kind of come together, if you don't mind? Just and then we kind of want to go off on a bit of a tangent, which for those that don't know us, we don't
Kelly,
normally do, right?
Kelly, are you going to lead us?
Sure. Sure. Okay. So, DK, the publisher, wanted to do a visual timeline of the Star Trek universe to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the franchise. And this is an officially licensed product with Paramount, and they wanted some folks who are deeply steeped in Star Trek, also have some experience tie-in writing. And so the four of us were contacted and asked if we would like to sign on to this project and be the writing team. And I think I can safely say for all of us that we were all pretty jazzed about that and very excited by this opportunity. So that was February of last year that we were approached for the project. And it's been, a year plus of working on this. And they sort of asked us to identify, which areas of canon, which shows are you most knowledgeable about and would be most excited about covering, and then we're able to make assignments. So all four of us have more or less even assignments throughout the book. So each covered different eras, as well as some fun feature spreads throughout the book that are not part of the main timeline, but kind of give a mini timeline of a topic or something within the Star Trek universe. So yeah.
So I have a
What do you think?
tangential. Oh, yes, if I
Oh,
may, I just have a tangent because we're gonna just jig and come right back. But in listening to all of your all of your interviews of interviews like on Continuing Conversations, one of our favorites, and then some of the others. Typically, when it comes to Star Trek, because of Star Trek Adventures, STA, Jim is the ringleader, the Star Trek Grand Poobah, if you will. But you guys keep referring to Kelly on these. I'm curious, like, how were you voluntold to have this role of
So I'm
keeping the other
not.
three in check?
No, so on the project itself, we're all sort of equal, and they were all pointing to me because I have answered that particular question, I think, in every interview that we've done. So that
Ah,
is the
okay.
only the
Frank,
only
no,
respect.
frankly, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. Kelly wrote the most emails back and forth.
Yeah,
Like we
okay.
really operated as a team and we didn't try to go it alone, like writing separate emails when we had questions. And Kelly is just, I mean, an amazing writer in aspects. I now know she is an email master writer too. So because of that, I think we kind of finally just led to like, she's kind of the voice, a great voice spokesperson for the team. And
Nice.
yeah, that's just
Nice.
happened naturally. Natural evolution. She's a natural Janeway. What can you say?
High
but
praise.
that kind of brings it up because working together on this, how did you kind of like organize it and like how was it organized and managed in terms
Like,
of
how do you
putting the content
negotiate
in
it?
together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had a really good editor at DK who came in from the start with spreadsheets and a general idea of what he wanted to accomplish with it, and then just working with the four of us over email and then over video calls, we sussed out who was going to handle which sections, which eras, which series, etc. And then it just progressed from there. But I think when Matt came in from the very beginning, if I remember right, guys, he had a notion from the start, and then of course it morphed and changed as we went to some extent. But I think we hit the ground running fairly early on. Once
Yeah, it
once
was a
once we had that conversation, we got started pretty quick.
yeah, I mean, behind the curtains a little bit. I mean, he had put together this amazing spreadsheet that basically was a model of how the pages might turn
Okay.
out. We had
Okay.
some to do some wiggle back and then, but one of the most amazing features I thought about it as we were writing entries, there's little pull down menus where you could put your main reference source, so the actual episode maybe that it's referencing to, but
Oh,
then if you're grabbing information because of known background canon information, you could have secondary sources on pull down also. So basically this gave
slick.
an opportunity for both DK and Paramount to really fact check our work, to check our source materials,
Mhm.
and to keep us on track. So it's a really cool spreadsheet.
Yeah, and I think
That's cool.
I think he had worked on either the DK book, the Marvel timelines, or the Star Wars timelines, one of those two. So he had already had some
Okay.
experience with this type of book, and then just adapted it for Star Trek.
And
Yeah.
I'll say that I think it's fair to say that I was the most spreadsheet challenged of the four of us on this project. So it was to be really honest, it was a little daunting because understanding how like DK and how Matt wanted it, but then once you get your head around it and understand it, I think it was essential. I don't think we could have done it any other way, to be honest. And now I can say I can actually build spreadsheets all by myself.
That is very cool. I can
Yeah.
imagine that being a very useful tool for any number of writing projects, even if you're writing it solo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah, we're
already
not
the
throwing these
process.
away. Oh, sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead,
Yeah,
Kelly.
no.
Oh, I was just gonna say that like I currently outline by spreadsheet already. So this was like second nature for me, especially coming from like a teaching background. Like spreadsheets are, that's how you organize everything. So this was like, oh yay. But this was like a monster spreadsheet that had a lot more features than the ones we normally
I'll bet.
Yeah.
work with. So
Yeah, but we do dream. I think we played around with the idea like, well, we should keep this because as new episodes come out, we should probably be slotting in and keeping an
Absolutely.
updated timeline. I don't know if any of us will be diligent enough to actually do that, but it's a really good idea.
When you guys were all dividing and conquering, did you have like certain areas that you all kind of were like, I want to do this area, I want to, were there certain pieces? Like I'm looking at like Derek and thinking, were you kind of like thinking,
Deep
I
Space
wanna...
Nine, right? Our
Yeah,
editor,
that's what
One
editor.
host.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it
It's
because
okay. It's okay. I've come to accept that I'm pretty much known for that for DS9.
I'm a DS9aholic, so
There
that's
are
why
worse
I
things
was
than
looking
being
to you.
typecast for
Yeah,
DS9.
I was
Which
looking
is
to
right.
you
There's
for-
worse things to be
Yeah.
typecast for.
Yeah.
Our editor and the editorial staff and the DK staff. First of all, I want to say the DK staff did a phenomenal job with that spreadsheet because it's crazy. But our editor asked us what series of Star Trek, what era of Star Trek did we really feel very comfortable with? So we all gave our input, and then our editor came back and said, okay, well, here's the sections that you'll all be doing based upon what you said. And I also think I don't have any confirmation on this, but just I feel what they thought would be best for each person to do, and I think it worked out really, really beautifully, and everything was divided up. So for me, I had TOS, the original series, TAS, the animated series. I had the TOS films, Generations and First Contact. And I had the last two seasons of Next Gen, and then I had all of Deep Space Nine, and we had like a chapter on the mirror universe that everyone contributed to, but I got
Nice.
to like kind of like shape it and form it and do the overall work on that. So that was a lot of fun.
It just seems, I mean, and we've heard, you all list out your realms. It's so much. And I mean, like what you just described, Derek, like you each had this range to cover, and obviously everything's related to everything else. It's 60 years of canon, but like it's so disparate. I mean, DS9 and TOS and TAS and all of this and First Contact, like that's a lot of headspace to
Yeah,
have to put it mildly, to have to move through.
yeah.
And that's amazing to me.
Yeah, I
But we all
secretly
had
wonder
this
if Paramount was
Yeah.
being. I secretly wonder if Paramount was being a little selfish by commissioning this. They're like, we need this for all our future writers with so many comics and novels and shows coming out. We need this. Who can we have like do this? Because it is a canon resource now. So any
Yeah.
future writers really, I can't imagine they wouldn't have this on their desk and saying, wait a second, what year am I writing this? What's happening around it? Where are these characters at that time? So, it's definitely great. The fans are going to love it, but I do think Paramount had a little tinge of selfishness on it.
Well, I mean, and they'd
Worth
be
it.
nuts not to use it.
yeah, this is very much an IP where all the resources get used by the people still creating. Like all of us were looking at the chronology and at the compendiums for the appropriate shows and things. So yeah.
Since you brought up the chronology, uh, I'll just say this has been on my mind like since I first heard about this timelines thing coming out. Like we've been on Dice in Mind, Brad and I have been really, really fortunate to talk to some really incredible people. I mean, present company very much included. Like we love talking to you guys individually and together and all of that. And like we consider all of you friends of the pod, but there are certain guests, there are certain people who have done very specific things it's kind of like royalty. Like these are the gods of these IPs. And I'm being dead serious here. This has been on my mind since very late April when the pre-order became available. We had the opportunity to speak with Bill Smith, right? WEG second edition Star Wars. We had the opportunity, before continuing conversations, just saying, to speak with Larry Nemechek. Right, these are the guys, people who literally wrote the books on this stuff that then set canon on a course for decades. And especially with Trek, right? I mean, I think all of us, I'm not pointing any fingers besides it's an audio podcast, but at least all but one of us are old enough to remember. I'm just going to put it that way. All but one of us are old enough to remember, right, when Larry Nemechek's books were actively coming out and everyone was mind-blowing because there was nothing else like that. And this was pre-web and then very, very early web. It wasn't like you were just going to sit down and Google. I mean, Kelly, all the time you spent on Alta Vista back in the day, right? And so, I mean, and now you guys have developed timelines, which is, I mean, talk about passing the torch. Like, this is it. And that's not being obsequious. It absolutely blows my mind. I have since late April been wondering, and especially knowing we're going to talk to you, like, and this is my segue into a question, but like what this means for each of you. And so
This is not Jason's longest segue.
This
either,
will be
by
my
the way.
longest segue, I promise.
This is not his longest segue.
Not historically, but it will be tonight.
Yeah.
Let me just do this a little backwards and ask the really unfair question first. And I know you guys have talked about this a little bit elsewhere, but we know each of you well enough. There has to be a burden of responsibility. And I'm not calling it a responsibility. I'm calling it what it has to be. Along with the joy, a burden of responsibility to literally write this and to then forevermore be associated until the next 30 years when Paramount or whomever decides let's update something different. What was that like for you guys? And how did you personally navigate that?
The first word that popped in my mind as you were saying this is trust. Like I really have such a high level of trust for Kelly, Derek, and Jim as peer reviewers. We all understood that when it comes out, people aren't going to know exactly who wrote which entry unless they listen to this podcast and find out about it, right? So we each had to stand behind every single entry, and I really feel like they stand behind mine. So because we knew if we mess up, we're going to hear it from panels, workshops, on our own podcast, on social media. It could create controversy. So trust really is, I'm really proud to work with these three individuals, high level of trust. We knew the quality we had to come out because it's going to be on coffee tables for the next, few decades. And then we have the trust with DK and of course, Paramount's editorial team too was an extra layer of trust.
Yeah, I think for me, it was about, in addition to what Michael said, leveraging skill sets. Like this was a gargantuan task, and it was a gargantuan research task. But everything that I've done up until this has prepared me very well for this type of assignment of going back through sources and taking careful notes and chronicling and reporting. I used to teach journalism, so reporting factual information and how to translate that into prose that is focused on the event and doesn't have bias and all of that. It felt like, okay, this is a unique type of assignment. It's we talked several times, like it didn't feel necessarily like creative writing. It felt more like translating or representing or almost archival work. And that's, like you said, a great burden and a responsibility, but it's also very satisfying because canon is huge, but it is finite. And so like you can go into all the little corners and find the details and fact check and then work with the appropriate people to sort out any little, pieces of friction. And that was really great to see it kind of come all together.
I know this is my third time being associated with something in Star Trek that deals with an anniversary or history. Like my 2016 short story was for the 50th anniversary. Cisco autobiography was for the 30th anniversary of Deep Space Nine. and now this is for the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. And at the beginning of this venture or this enterprise, I told my colleagues here, I said, my first priority is to the integrity of this project, to all of you, and then to myself. And I think I can say that I know a lot of Star Trek just by heart. But every single time I had a question about anything in my regards to my own work or anything we were peer reviewing, I went and checked because I never wanted to rely on what was in my head. And I did that for myself. I did that for each one of you guys. I don't know if I ever said that, but I checked everything because this is it. This is the 60th. This is a big deal, you know. And I wanted it to be as good as we could as it could be for all of us, but for the fans, because I was that guy reading the Yakuda's book. I was that guy reading the Star Trek technical manual. You know, I was that guy, and hopefully someone else, you know, whether it be he, she, or they, will this could be that book for them, you know. So that's a big deal.
What about you, Jim?
No, I went last, man. I don't know. I have spent the last 10 years working on Star Trek Adventures, and I've talked about it on numerous times on other podcasts and whatnot, that like I have such a short-term memory. When I work on a project, like I do it, and then once it goes off to print, like I purge it out of my brain. I'm on to the next thing, man.
Yeah.
Right. And I just and then when I get the print copy, like I get the print sampler or I get my comp copy and I flip through it, I'm like, how the hell did I make this thing? Right. Obviously I had a team that supported me, and I had a team that I relied on, and we got it done. But like there are gaps in my knowledge where I look at a book and I'm like, I don't remember how all that came together. I know I worked on the artwork, and I know I worked on the text and the editing and stuff. And I think I mean, in all honesty, I think working on this book, I don't think it's really hit me yet the scope of it. Like, I mean, obviously we've all got the libraries behind us of all the Akuta books and the encyclopedias and the technical manuals, and just like the 40 or 50 years worth of stuff that we've accumulated, that I've accumulated. And I don't know that I've ever put any of those people up on a pedestal, right, to say, oh my God, it's the Yakutas, or oh, maybe Rick Sternbach might have been the first one, or might have been the only one I can remember, because I know that when I first started working on STA, within the first year, Sam, the former project manager, line manager for the line, was like, we need some information from Rick Sternbach for one of our books. Can you just email him and get some information? And I'm like, you want me to email Rick Sternbach? What? Like, this is like the one, big name that I could remember. And it's like, oh, you got his email address. Wow, that's okay. So, but going on from there. So like, I know that this book is going to be important to a lot of people. And I hope this book is heavy use over the next 30 years, not just from just casual fans, but also writers, editors, show managers, etc. And that's really cool if they do use it, and if we see it on their table and stuff, right? But I don't think I'm in a place right now where it's really hit me about what this book is going to mean to me personally, because I don't think I'm going to know until I get to like Shore Leave or Las Vegas and see a crowd of people at our panel, like interested in talking to us, because it's like, okay, because I think I still have that mindset of like, we're wrapping this thing up, we're going to be done within the next couple of weeks here, and then it'll be completely out of our hands, right? But I'm already looking to like, what's the next thing? I got plenty of Star Trek Adventure stuff to be working on, but for me personally, like, what's the next project? And not to say that I'm being flippant about it or minimizing it. I just think that the enormity of the personal impact on this thing, I haven't let it in yet, and I don't know when I will do that.
Or I can pass the mortal coil once I walk down the aisle in Target and see it. And I'll be like, oh. I picture myself like standing there just looking if anyone sees it, you know.
Who's that guy who's in the aisle? He just never
It's so
leaves.
weird.
He's just
gesturing
he
in
comes
that
in and
direction.
he stands at that. I stands in
Why is
front
he
of that
holding
book
that
all the
book all
He
the
time.
giggles
time?
when anyone ever touches the Star Trek
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, that's
A
where you cross the
maniacal
line.
laugh.
You shouldn't just stand there giggling. That's how people get in trouble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I, out of curiosity, obviously you got all of the, all the screen time available and, yay for Paramount Plus, but I'm curious what what were the resources you all used to help? Maybe the resources beyond the obvious. What really like backed you up to get through this?
They gave us access to all the scripts, which was
Yeah,
really
that's
nice.
cool.
So that to me probably was, I have to say that was almost more important to me than the TV shows in some cases, because I was seeing the words are kind of powerful, and that's kind of like the facts that we can use to
Yeah.
transcribe, to get it into the entries. But I used, for instance, I held up the Voyager Companion from Paul Ruditis, was great. Since it just helped me get a quick snapshot of the story, and then to really get the details down, I could look at the script and then go look at the TV show. After that, that was kind of like my process. I know, we all checked out Memory Alpha, but you can't always trust it as a source. You still have to double check whatever you see on Memory Alpha, because it is a fan led, wiki. And
Mhm.
so somebody might put in some wrong information. So even though, it's great, I'll say I trust it 80% of the time, 80,
Mhm.
85% of the time, but I would still have to double check with one of the sources I mentioned.
I found that even the scripts, the final scripts, didn't always match the actual show dialogue in some cases. And
Yeah.
with the shows, you can't rely on the subtitles either, which is frustrating for me because I tend to watch anything I watch on TV
Oh,
anymore. I have subtitles on,
yeah.
and like I'll just be sitting there watching a show, and like you'll see the subtitles are slightly different in some cases than the actual spoken dialogue. And I'm like, well, shoot, what do you go with? You got to go with the spoken dialogue, I think, more than the subtitles. But yeah, I think I mean, we've all got the libraries of history, and like Derek said, like I've got a lot of Star Trek in my head already for the last 40 odd years. So yeah, it was just a lot of stuff to look at.
Are you guys gonna celebrate when either when you're officially like done contributing and or when this thing actually hits the shelves?
Shore Leave is the first time we all meet each other in person. I mean, I met everyone in
Oh,
person here, but
cool.
not all together in one group. So
Yeah.
definitely Shore Leave is a place where we'll be.
Michael, have you met Kelly or
Mhm.
Eric in person?
Yeah, I met him at Gen Con in 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, in person, but again, all together at one time with all my favorite people. Not to mention all the Star Trek Adventure people who are going to be at Shore Leave this year. So it's just going to be like a big
Awesome.
Star Trek Adventures reunion too.
Crazy. Yeah, so I don't know. We haven't talked about like going out for a drink or getting dinner or something. I don't know what everybody's dance cards are like, but we'll figure something out.
We will sort it out.
So
You're all
so for
first
the,
on my dance card.
so for folks with shore leave, there's a panel? Is that what's actually going on now for this? So
Yes.
Nice.
Q&A. So
There's
we want to crowd the panel and then throws like softball questions, right?
Yeah. Tricky too, right? Because the panel is in July and the book doesn't actually come out until November. So we'll have some hopefully have some swag to give out, but it'll
That's
be
cool.
interesting to be talking about the book, even though it's not actually available as either a PDF or as a print product.
Hopefully,
They
we'll have
haven't
some
gone
slides
the
and
Jim Johnson Modiphius route where they issue the PDF when you pre-order, right? They gotta
I
get
don't think
with
DK does that.
Yeah.
it.
No, it'll be great to talk to some fans, in person. Um, Jason, to answer your question, my process was a little different. I went back and rewatched every single episode that I was covering and
Wow.
just took notes and then extracted the events and then wrote up those entries and then watched the next episode and did the same thing. And some of them were like complicated enough that I had to go back through them multiple times because I wanted to make sure I had all
Because
the
didn't you have
details.
a bunch of Prodigy? You had a
I had
lot of
all
the
of
time travel,
Prodigy.
right?
Yeah, I had all of Prodigy and the first two seasons of Discovery, and so
Oh my
those two
God.
were super heavy in
Right.
time travel and a lot of complicated
Yeah.
sort of connections. So
Oof.
there was a whole lot of rewatching those things, and like I had all of like a lot of the new shows, not all of them, but like all of mine were post classic era. So I
Hmm.
had Enterprise and later. So there weren't a lot of approved secondary sources for those shows, and so
Right.
it really was go look at the show. But I mean, it so sad. I had to rewatch a bunch of Star Trek. It's
It's
totally
true.
fine.
For me, I did the opposite. I learned on Cisco not to like. I couldn't watch episodes of Deep Space Nine. I didn't want it to influence me, which may sound a little weird, but I didn't want it to
Yeah.
influence me. So what I did for Cisco was I would read the scripts, right? And then what I found really helpful was YouTube. Because if I needed a scene, I would type in a scene, and because it's Star
Oh.
Trek, people have uploaded scenes
Mhm.
of pretty much everything you want of Star Trek in some form or fashion. And so for this, if I didn't want to go to the script, because I didn't watch any episodes, but if I didn't want to go to the script, I would go to YouTube, type in a scene, and the scene would pop up, and that's canon, right? So
Hmm.
I would just watch that like 5 minute scene, and that was a quick way to just
Nice.
figure it out, So
Anyone find anything during this that like course corrected their belief in their own timelines that they thought was
Oh.
right and was actually not correct? I'm just curious.
I
Michael was
I
nodding.
mentioned this before. No, I learned within these three schooled me so much within the first 2, 3 months that so much of my because I'm more of a narrative storyteller. That's my natural thing is
Yeah.
make up the stories, Star Trek Adventures. Hey, go here, go there, all that. That I learned I was so rife with assumption as to what I thought certain things had happened, and they kept slapping me back. It took about 2 to 3 months for me to be like, okay, hold on, journalism, and really humble myself. And then I really got into, okay, let's scripts and give up what I thought I knew. And with that, it was like rewatching the shows, which was very rewarding. I got a way better depth of the characters, plot lines, interconnectivity of different timelines and characters. So that was a great, I mean, that was probably the biggest gift out of this is I mean, I had to learn some journalism and some historical, telling of stuff. It was humbling, but I love humility, so that's cool.
How did I have another question after this one, but I want to hear from you all as to how if anyone else had anything in this. So
I know from one of the I guess kind of big things for me, probably maybe a little thing, was what happened right after the original series' first 5 year mission, between the 5 year mission, the animated series, and the motion picture, and when did the Enterprise actually go into refit? And that was a thing that I had to like bounce back and forth with Paramount a few times to lock down a date, because no date is really locked down like
Yeah.
in the chronology books or on Memory Alpha. So we actually locked down a date for them.
Oh, I've been wondering about this actually. It's so was that because it's Trek? It's kind of like World War III / the eugenics wars. Like I thought that what they did with Picard was very clever in terms of like obfuscating previous canon, but like did that issue come up very often? And
Yeah, ask these folks. Yeah.
it really, so how did was Paramount they like a good partner? Like they were willing to entertain dates? I'm assuming some things were required to be kept fuzzy. Like they weren't willing to pin down everything, I'm assuming.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Some things it was determined, and they always had the final say on
Yeah, yeah.
like, do we actually want to pin it down? But the way that DK has laid out the book, there are things called floating entries, which
Hmm.
means it's not tied to a specific spot on the timeline, but it's like it generally happened
It's
in this
approximately.
era.
Okay.
And then there's also a type of entry called the Department of Temporal Investigations,
That's clever.
where there's like a little note about that something is interesting here with
Mhm.
the timeline, maybe non-standard. So if it really couldn't be tied down, there are ways to represent the information if it couldn't
Mhm.
kind of be locked down. But yeah,
It was
that's
fun. Yeah, it was fun though that they would accept our ideas when we did the math. So many times on the entry, we were like, because of this, and this said here, and this star date in conjunction with, they said 8 months before, which would have been on this. Yeah, like we could, if we did the math, they were pretty accepting of it, and letting us pin down dates. It was cool.
Yeah, I learned the term dead reckoning on this project because you like somebody you get a date like at the very beginning of Discovery, and then you find out, okay, 6 months have passed as of this episode, and then you find out, okay, 2 weeks have passed, and then you find out it's been 3 months since blah blah blah, and we know that this must have been about this amount of time, and you eventually figure out how many months have passed so that you can then figure out which year are you in or whatever. And that was a whole lot of work on some of these, and the editors helped with some of it. Paramount helped with some of it, but yeah, a lot of work.
It just, I know you guys said this has been a long project. It's like over a year. Absolutely. Honestly, I'm just so impressed that you were able to get this done in that time frame. I mean, no, really, like,
Don't jinx us.
well, you're almost
this is
done.
where I was going
No,
with it.
yeah.
How you did this project. We all talked with you over the, I think we talked with all of you over this past year while you were working on this in your Skunk Works Area 51 zones, doing everything else you were doing and talking about. Yeah. So how you were able to do all of the other work in addition to this just continues to blow my mind.
Yeah, I will not downplay it. It was a commitment. And for me, it sort of became the background track to everything else. So anytime I had free time, I was listening or playing an episode of Star Trek, and then I would hit pause, and then I would write an entry, and then I would go back to, running or doing whatever I was doing. So it just kind of became like when you're not working on other things, you're doing this. And yeah, it's still a lot to accomplish in that amount of time. But we had each other, and we had some very supportive editors.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. There were times that, and I think I told Kelly this once, that I would wake up and be like, oh, did we do this? Oh, did we include this? Seriously, I would just wake up in the morning and be like, oh, and I guess my brain was working on it overnight. And then I would be like, oh, I think we need to have this thing, or we need to have that thing. And that happened a lot, more than I honestly wanted it to happen. But I was all in. So yeah.
Yeah, I think like Kelly, this was a constant project on top of everything else that I was working on. So when I don't know how you guys felt, but like when I delivered my last spread and got that last one done, like the week after that, I was like, I got all my Modiphius work done, and I got my other stuff done, and I got this whole gap of time in this day. Is like, now what? I don't have any DK. I don't have any spreads to work on. What do I do? Right? It's just like I just had this like. It was nice to have a gap of time during the day to like work on something else, but it was like I felt that void of like, this has been such a constant presence for a year plus now, and now we're kind of in maintenance mode to some extent. We're wrapping it up, but I definitely felt that part of it. It was like because it was just like it wasn't even like a job, right? I mean, it is a job, but it was like it was just that constant thing that was always there, And I mean, honestly, at some point we'll have to talk in a separate conversation. We'll have to talk about how do you have that feeling for your own fiction writing, like if your fiction writing is a constant, always being a constant, and maybe that's what I need to refocus on, and just the feeling I had working on the DK book is what I should be feeling when I'm working on my own personal projects.
Well, I mean, it helps if you have a contract with pay involved, Jim. That helps motivate all of us. That's different from our own projects.
That's fair.
Right?
But the tricky thing about fiction writing, right, is like it's all on spec. Whether you're submitting to agents or you're indie publishing it, right? There's no immediate income if you don't have a contract or an agent, right? So it's like
I always think about it like. Yeah. Even though it's spec, like it will eventually find a home. So I'm like, the contract is forthcoming.
I like that.
It's on faith.
Derek brought up something too that kind of sparked me about, waking up with ideas. There was another part of that spreadsheet, which was cool, called entries for other people's spreads. It was something like that. And because you'll find that you're watching something like Picard or you're watching something like Voyager, and they'll reference something that happened in a different show or a different era that I'm not necessarily covering.
Yeah.
So we would collect those onto a spread and kind of tag each other and like, hey, by the way, the one I keep going to in my mind is, Tuvok was on the Excelsior in 2293 after Praxis happened, and we need to add that in here. And then, Derek would grab that because he has the undiscovered country entry, and, he's going to go ahead and pull that in. So that was kind of really cool. Things that were said even about like the Voth. When did the Voth first leave Earth as dinosaurs, evolved dinosaurs 80,000 years ago, I think, or 80,000 BC? Got to give that to Kelly because she's handling Big Bang On. So we were doing a lot of cool swapping and finding little nuggets. And they were giving me nuggets too that I got to insert into my different spreads. So that was kind of fun discovering those gems.
This is a pretty thick book, yes?
Yes.
Were you all given word or page limits? Like did DK had they already decided like this is pretty much what we're going to allow and it has to fit?
Yes. So
Okay.
they had a page count,
Yeah.
and they had already broken it down
Oh
by
wow.
spreads.
Okay.
So we were assigned, you have these spreads, a spread being 2 pages, facing in the book.
Yeah.
And then they had already kind of roughly apportioned the years of the timeline across those spreads, and then we got assigned those
Okay.
year spreads, and then they had also sort of roughly fit in, we think Prodigy goes on these years-ish. And then we went in, actually pulled out all the events that needed to be, chronicled, and then started fitting them in, and then we adjusted. So sometimes the years had to move. Maybe, I needed, for example, I think 1 or 2 extra spreads in the Discovery era
Mhm.
to cover all of that crazy time travel, and so we just kind of adjusted and fit it all in as best we could. And then because we had these feature spreads as sort of a buffer zone that are
Okay.
little interrupter spreads. That's like the history of
Mhm.
the Klingon Empire, or the history of Starfleet ships, or whatever. And so we had that as kind of a way to appropriate as needed.
Okay.
Yes,
You got
when we came into it, we all knew. I mean, the DK knew that they were assigning the four of us roughly the same word count,
Mhm.
right? Roughly the same word count, roughly the
Yeah.
same number of spreads. I think it changed a little bit as we went through it, but I think we all ended up working about the same number of spreads. And once we got into we did all the main spreads first, then we did the features for the most part. And I think once we got to the features, it was like, oh, I think Derek had so many main spreads that he didn't need to do quite as many features, so we just divvied up the features among the rest of us. And
nice.
I think we had more ideas for features than there was room for in the book.
I'm sure.
Yep.
And I know at one point they were talking about maybe adding another signature to the book, another 16 pages to the book, but I don't remember where that left off, because I think we were prepared to write more, but we didn't have to, which is nice because we're getting near the end here.
You could do an infinite amount of work on this and just keep adding stuff, and at some point they have to send it to print. So
Yeah, right. Right.
And, because it's Star Trek, and because Star Trek is still an active development, right? We still got 16 more episodes of Strange New Worlds, and hopefully another 10 episodes of Starfleet Academy.
Mhm.
Like, I certainly am not trying to jinx it or anything, but like it's already we're already gonna, by the time the book comes out, we'll have already missed Strange New Worlds season 4, right?
Mhm.
So I think Kelly's right. We at some point we had to stop and just say, okay, we can't put any more in this. Let's just get it out, and then maybe we get lucky and do a revised edition next
Right.
year with the rest of the stuff in it.
I'm already planning to pre-order that sucker. I mean,
Mhm.
you has to be, right?
Actually,
See, once I get my premiere edition signed, I'm going to have to put that away and then buy another edition that I can use, so that when the revised edition comes out,
yeah,
So-
we were joking about that on one of the other podcasts. I think the Sci-Fi Sisters. We were talking
Yeah.
about how many
You
copies-
guys went nuts
how many
with
copies- how many
I was like
copies-
listening. That was a great discussion, but it was like, okay, and I'm just like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Like I mean, that's my car payment. Like when you add up all of those, like for a few months, like that's major coin. Because you guys were talking, yeah, you were talking big. I mean, may it be so that everybody buys their 6 copies just, in case. Yeah,
Mhm.
I know I've got some local libraries that I want to donate copies to. So I mean
that's awesome.
that's 5 or 6 copies right there.
Well, and like if it's like the technical manual, I'm on my third technical manual because of how much I use the other two.
Oh,
I
sure.
remember my first one actually had duct tape on it to keep it together
Oh,
because I've
That's
used it so
awesome.
much. So now this could be the same way where within 5 or 10 years, people have to kind of buy one, because they've used up the other one. That would be great.
That's cool. Isn't that cool? I mean, I think for just thinking about that for you all, I think that's cool to think about that, there are kids that were like, because the technical manuals, I mean, for me, that
Oh,
was a
don't get me.
college thing because that's when they were introduced. For
Oh,
you, it was a little younger,
I
but
TOS Tech Manual High School. It
yeah.
it blew my mind. And then TNG, I still want to teach a class on the TNG Tech Manual someday. I haven't figured out how to do that yet.
You've
And
got to figure out a way to do that because I remember. I mean, not to go on a tangent here, but um, that came out in what 91,
I think so.
92,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and this was pre-internet. So
Yep.
I don't think anybody really, unless you were in the book trade, I don't think anybody knew that thing was coming out. And I remember because I was working at Walden Books at the time,
Oh,
and
Walden Books. That's where I bought mine.
my gaming group and I were all working at Walden Books, and we were all doing a homebrew Star Trek RPG, right? And I think one day we were in the back room opening up new boxes of stock, and like we opened the box, and here's this Star Trek technical manual staring at us from the box. And we just all literally we sat there for like 30 seconds, just dumbfounded
Yeah.
at what we were looking at. Like we had no idea this was coming out. We had no idea what to. I mean, Star Trek Next Gen was on air at the time. It was what, season 4, season 5. Star Trek Next Gen was absolutely the bomb, right? I mean, it was firing on all thrusters. It was
Yeah.
at
Right.
its peak, I think.
Yep.
And we were doing a Next Gen era game, and that became our Bible.
Yes.
Right. And it was just amazing that it came out. And I don't know if somebody, I mean, of course, with the internet now, everybody knows this book is coming. The DK book is coming, right? Unless you're not informed. But I mean, it's out there on pre-order, and I just can't imagine. I can't imagine what the fans are going to reactions going to be like when they finally get it in their hands.
I mean, you've shared a few spreads
Mhm.
on Sci-Fi Sisters and on Continuing Conversations. And I mean, it looks gorgeous and remarkably easy to read, which is, I
yeah.
think, quite the layout feat for what it entails.
I think
Yeah.
that's where having DK be the publisher for
Right.
this book was a
Yeah.
really smart move
Very
because
smart.
that is their specialty,
Yeah.
is visual, visual interest and really smart layout on the page. And that I think the book really benefits from that.
Yeah, it's funny, Jason. It's funny, Jason. You said it's easy to read, right? And I was thinking, on the one hand, yeah, looking at the actual spreads and the pages, yeah, that's easy to read. But then, like, how on earth am I going to read this book in bed, right? It's a big, gigantic book,
Yeah,
right?
I'm sorry, babe. You need to move over. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Of course, that was my solution instantaneously, Jim.
If I'm reading it, if I drop it and I hit my face, I'm going to break my face.
You'll be
Yeah,
smothered. You can't lift it off. Your little
No.
arms, your little Jurassic Park arms. Wait, I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's not that heavy.
Yeah.
I'm
what
I
picturing
need a
like
Hoyer. I need a Hoyer lift for the Hoyer lift for your room for the book.
I'm picturing like in in the archival section of the library where they have those like plinths for the really thick ancient
Ooh.
books. You need one of those in
Wait,
your living
Kelly,
room.
that's actually a really good idea. I've been trying to figure out because I know I need mine in my living room, and I don't have coffee tables. I have those side end tables that tuck in under the couch, and that's too small for this. But I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna have to, just for funsies, have it
Do a
next to my
pedestal.
fireplace on a curated.
Yeah.
Thank you. My wife's gonna
You're
hate you. By the way. She's like, no.
You're welcome.
Rearranging the family room for a book. That
Going on Wayfair. I'm going on
Yes.
Wayfair now to order it.
Priorities,
Yes.
Brad. Priorities.
Yes. Yes.
One of the things I've struggled with is I've thought about, and I've been thinking about this for Star Trek Adventures, about how there are some crafts people out there who will buy an RPG book, right?
Yeah.
They will tear off the cardboard cover, and then they'll do their own binding, like a leather bound
Mhm.
cover or a really nice fancy cover or something, using the inlay from the book itself, but they would just completely change the cover. And I was thinking, oh yeah, or a leather-bound version of this would be really cool, but that doesn't really fit Star Trek, does it? So it'd have to be like aluminum metal or something, like some sort of fancy etched cover or something. I'm not sure what that would look like.
You know, add poundage, good, and sharp edges. Right.
Then I would get the
Make it heavier.
I would get the pedestal and like a special bookmark, and then I'd have to like in my living room, I'd have to like arrange spotlights to focus on, right? So
and you can get you can get those for cheap now. I just ordered 2 on Amazon.
Oh my
No,
god.
they're charging. No, literally, and you just stick them on the wall, and they're rechargeable like an iPhone, but they last for days, right, or weeks. But you just stick it on, and you can point it in whatever direction you want.
No,
I'm trying to
I'm
to hear the conversation with your wife if the lights come before the book. Like, don't worry, this is for the reading, right? Yeah.
And if they're also like motion detected, so when you walk in the room, if you have it set right, it kind of goes doom, 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 doom. So it's almost kind of like
and then the theme song, and then the
lights.
TAS theme song, the original animated series theme song should come on at the same time. Yeah, you guys are helping me redecorate. Thanks.
Yeah, you gotta set.
Michael, make sure you let your wife know this all came from you and not from us. Though.
Yes, thank you.
Jim,
Jimmy,
last point about the cover though. Look behind Derek. He has the Klingon STA book.
I mean, that is gorgeous.
Which is
and that's I told you
bound,
that
right?
it feels like a Bible when you hold it. Like it feels really good. So it could be done.
I am not ashamed to admit I have more than one copy of that.
See?
Really?
Yeah.
See? That's our point.
Yeah.
That's our point.
Well, when there's a sale, one must purchase. So,
do you get 2 timelines? Bring them to the gym, right? Do you even Trek Bro, right? And just work out with those.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking. Yeah. I was just thinking about like a metal tricorder edition cover of timelines.
You're gonna need a tractor beam soon, folks. So I'm just
actually do any of you actually have do you know what the estimate of weight is going to be on this thing?
No, but I mean I can like give you
got
my
the
estimate
others.
from lifting the Marvel version off my it's several pounds.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm not gonna take your time. I've got a postage scale over there. I could weigh the Star Wars timeline, but it's probably 4 or 5 pounds.
Wow.
That's what it feels like.
I mean, it's a 330 something page book, and it's a hardcover, and it's an oversized hardcover. It's not like a 8.5 by 11.
Right.
So it's going to be massive. Yeah.
Awesome.
In fact, I mean, you can't see it on my shelf. The Star Wars timelines and the Marvel timelines, because they're so big, they don't actually fit on the shelves. The normal orientation, I had to turn them on the side to fit.
You have to go horizontal on them.
I've got Nana Visitor's book, right? Is one of those. It's that beautiful square. I mean, it's a great book, but it's like one of 2. It's the only non-photography book I have on my shelves that I have to reorient just to get it on the shelf for the proper place. Yeah.
Well, all we ask that you do, and everybody who listens to your podcast, is from now on for the rest of eternity, when you walk into any bookstore and you see it slid in, that you pull it out and make sure to put it face out, because it's been proven that sells more books, right? So that's what I've heard from Sci-Fi Sister said that. So make sure that everyone just commit to rearranging it. If you're at Costco, make sure it's at the top of the stack, whatever you got to do. All right.
Yeah, face out. Got it.
That's a trick I learned from Walden Books way back in the day, is always face out the books that you want to sell. And once I started writing professionally and got into Strange New Worlds and all that stuff, like I have that habit in my head. Anytime I go into a bookstore, if I see somebody's book from somebody I know, I'll do my best to face it out. And
nice.
Sometimes the staff will give me a dirty look, and I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Little act of civil disobedience. That's a beautiful thing.
It's little things. So I think maybe Derek and Dayton and Kelli, I haven't seen your book in shelves, which I'm hoping is a good thing. That means it's selling. The Captain Marvel book. I hope it's selling.
One can hope.
But and fortunately, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it or the autobiography of Cisco. I haven't seen either of those on the remainder shelves at Barnes and Noble. I know. Okay. Barnes and Noble tends to put a lot of stuff on remainder, through the wholesalers. But I haven't seen either of those books, which is a good sign. And hopefully we get lucky with this one, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
we
a little,
will.
Yep, we can. I think it's going to resonate with fans,
I hope
and
so.
I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it.
Well, and I mean,
I think
DK doesn't goof around, right? They're gonna like DK and Paramount like this. They commissioned this for a reason, the 60th, and it would be. I mean, they're gonna push this. They'd be
yeah.
foolish not to.
Oh,
Yeah.
they have a really strong marketing team.
I've noticed. I'm considering a $55 Yeti, and that's a sheer waste of money. So they market really well. Yeah.
And you look at like the Yakuda's book, 2 volumes was great, and the chronology
Hmm.
and everything that captured and how well that did. And then you think about this, which is 60 years and so much different types of Star Trek is captured in this. I really think that this book is for the consummate fan and the person that is just coming to Trek, and they want to like kind of dig in and start somewhere. They could actually start with it literally has everything up to
That
date. Yeah.
that's I'm so grateful for that. Like that's a problem with every IP and every IP that has books, right? Of you buy, but it's not going to have everything, and it's not just because it can't keep up, but and I get it. I like marketing. I get the business sense of that, but
Right.
the fact that this truly is comprehensive in a single source is such a gift to those of us who have been living in Trek, right, as the future history, right? Like you guys have said, this is more like I mean, Jim, you've talked about this, Scott, since we've known you, that you're writing history, right? And
Mhm.
I love Kelly that you describe this is really archival work. Because I think if you're in it, that's how you feel about this
Yeah,
franchise.
Yep.
that's exactly right. And there's so many things I think that we did. Uh, and I really, really, again, want to thank the DK team because they really pushed us to come up with ideas. And when we gave suggestions, that they said, "Oh, we like that. Let's see if we can get that in the book." And we have things that, as great as the Okuda's book is, as the chronology is, we have things in this that aren't in there. The total history of the Enterprise, just things that we're thinking about that a person can look at and say, "Oh wow, yeah, that's really cool." And there are sections that I think are just don't no other book has, no other Star Trek book has. So it's a
And
beautiful thing.
we've talked about this on other interviews, but to add to what Derek's saying, we got to select a bunch of art
Yeah,
to
I heard that.
include,
Oh,
and
cool.
so it's sort of a collection of maybe some of the best, screen caps from canon all in one place also, which is really cool.
And it's going to settle a lot of what's canon arguments. When all of a sudden some of the spreads, I've mentioned before, like the spreads on the Romulans and the Vulcans, right? You can't discount any of the TV shows, any of the eras, because the story carries out, all the way, pre-Enterprise, if we're going to start chronologically, and it goes all the way to Discovery, to Navarre, and then you see how Spock is so key to all of this,
Yeah.
and so that, why would you ever want to cut out any of that story? And so Timeline really brings it all together, and I just think of so many situations. Even if you want to track the history of the Borg, you have to go through all these
Oh
episodes,
yeah.
starting from Enterprise, again, all the way through, through Picard. And so if somebody just was interested in the Borg, they could use this as a way to follow and look at all those episodes. Or if they're just interested in Navarre, so it's going to be
Oh,
a great
trust me,
resource.
we will. We will.
Mhm.
That is definitely the plan.
Well, I won't. Well, I will drop the spoiler here because it's fine because it's not ending up in the book. But I think we were all arguing we wanted a Garrick spread, but we couldn't get a solo
Oh, that would
Garrick
have been
spread.
Brad.
Oh,
Yeah. Uh,
oh,
But I still will always want a Garrick spread because he could fill 4 spreads probably with his
Yeah.
shenanigans.
oh yeah.
One of the best characters.
Oh, it's just so good. So, I mean, we so appreciate you spending time. We know for a couple of you at least, it's definitely getting late. I mean,
Mhm.
not for Jim. I don't think there's like no late. Like I've been up and active since 3:30 this morning.
Wow.
And a couple of times today, it's like So I'm just starting to approach Jim's schedule. I've got to stay up late too, or it's a failure. Like seriously. But I do whatever, Brad, whatever other questions you have. But I do have one or two that I really would like to pick your brains about. Um, Maybe I'll just choose this one. Um, each what through this process of timelines, what if anything did you learn about yourself new as a
Yes.
writer?
That's a good question.
It's a really
I
good question.
Yeah, I already said
That's a
mine.
really
So
good
I,
question.
yeah, I already said mine pretty much is that there are
Absolutely.
different styles of writing.
Yeah.
Just because you can write one thing doesn't mean you're going to be an expert at writing any other kind
Yeah.
of style. And it's funny because at work, I do technical writing at work, which you have no room for creativity there,
Right.
right? But even within an IP, a media tie-in, if there's different types of writing, and just honing different skills is so important. I remember Dayton Ward once told me, take every job you get. um you're going to learn something from everything. I think also Marvel, I just forgot his name, the one who does the Marvel MC, the RPG. So
Matt Matt
Oh,
Forbeck?
Matt Forbeck.
Yep.
thank you, Matt Forbeck. Thank you. Yeah, he said the same thing. He says if someone tells you to write a poem or write on a napkin, right, write it. And I really will appreciate that. You learn something from every job you take, even if it's not, even though this was super fun, even if it's not a super fun thing, you're getting some skills that you're going to apply somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's what I learned 100%. I think, Jason, when I worked on your book, doing the academic writing, that was really hard because I'd never done
Yeah.
academic writing before, and that was a whole different world for me. But I did it, and I learned a lot of valuable skills coming out of it.
Yeah.
For this one, I think it was really more journalism than anything else. And I'm not a journalist. I've never done any journalistic writing. The Star Trek Adventures, that's an RPG, so that's a mix of technical writing and fiction, right? And
Yeah.
and some historical reporting, but not to the degree that we did for this book. So I think, I mean, my hat's off to journalists because it was really hard for me to get into the groove of this one. And I think I'm glad I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I was offered the opportunity and that I said yes and had this team to support me. But that was a real challenge, was to just put all the creativity aside for the most part and really just focus on the facts and get it down. I think where I was most creative was in the titles, because every entry has a title. So we really got to
Okay.
play around with the entry titles a little bit. And then the designing the feature spreads, right? Like coming up with like the rough idea of what we thought it would look like and what entries we would put on it. I think that's where I got to tap into the creativity that I use a lot in Star Trek Adventures. But that this book didn't really call for it quite so much because we were really just trying to report the facts as we know them from Star Trek.
But
So
I am voting Jim as the most creative title. I don't know if you want to spoil it, Jim, and I don't know if you
yeah,
know which one I'm talking about, but I
see,
think Jim wins the most creative title. It blew my mind.
yeah, I'll keep that one as a spoiler and see if they catch it in the book.
It's first thing we're gonna look for when we get this book.
Now you've got now you
Well,
now
the
you've
funny
got
thing is though is the great thing about, I mean, I don't know if it's great or bad or whatever, but like as you're flipping through this book, I don't think someone's going to easily be able to pick out who wrote what.
Yeah, that's
Right. I mean,
cool.
obviously we've been talking about it on podcasts, right? But I think actually I think Derek, you alluded to this the other night where by and large, I think because we took a lot of the creative writing elements out of this, right?
Yep.
Just by the nature of the work, um, it's almost one voiced to be kind
Nice.
of a omniscient Star Trek narrator hitting you with the fact. It's like Mr. Atos, right?
Right.
I've never
Right.
known, but just hitting you with the
In the
fact.
library, mistake. That's right.
And I think I mean at this point I'm already partly removed from that spreadsheet. I would probably, if I had the whole book in hand, I would probably have a hard time picking out who wrote which bits, unless I remember, oh yeah, Derek did last two seasons of Next Gen and DS9, all that stuff. So hopefully, the new reader to it will be like, oh, it's all just Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
And they won't necessarily see the personalities involved.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I remember because Jim did up to season 5 of Next Gen. So I read like his cliffhanger, and then when I was writing season 6, I was like, oh yeah, this is almost a similar voice. But I think what I learned on this is it was a it was it was a really interesting challenge in the sense that I'd never I'd done journalism before, like for Star Trek magazine and stuff like that, but I never put together a book from A to Z like this before. You hire me to write the words, I write the words, I give you the words. And that's my, then I may come back and do some editing and stuff. But this was not only that, it was thinking about layout, it was thinking about images, and I got to learn to trust my judgment a lot. And there were times when I was like, "Oh, is that right? Or am I thinking right?" And then I would see the pages. And I was like, "Oh yeah, that works really well." So that for me is what I really got out of it.
Neat.
Yeah, and I mentioned that I do have some experience and background in journalism and editing and things, but I have never done this short of form of that. So each entry in the book was limited to 40 words,
Oh my
and
God.
that's not a lot. I mean, most of the
Wow.
episodes we got one entry per episode, maybe
Yeah.
two. And so to cover all of the really key events, that was really hard. And so I think the thing I gained from that was the power of precise word choice and words and especially verbs that have very direct and specific and scalpel meaning. There was one that Michael commented on that I used at one point that was like exfiltrate. Somebody was exfiltrated from a ship, but also like the nuance of word meanings. We had this really robust peer review process, and there was, I think it was my spread on the history of Bajor and Cardassia, where Derek commented that I had written that, Cardassia, the planet, had been destroyed, and Derek said it wasn't destroyed, it was decimated. And that was accurate. And like that, just that little bit of word choice of the, there has a huge difference in meaning. And so I appreciate that nuance more than I did before this project.
Yeah, I think that's a skill that I picked up from this book that makes me remember Stephen King's On Writing, where he said, you write a thing and then do your best to take 10% out of it, right? Like fix your word choice, really hone it down. And I think writing a lot of these episodes down to 40 words, I think it really made me appreciate all over again how important word choice is, but also effective punctuation. I think there's a lot of interesting sentence structures in this book, using semicolons and dashes and everything else.
I need to give a shout out to Jim. Everything that is correctly italicized in this book is because of Jim.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true. Yes. Yes, indeed.
And you can imagine when I had to introduce 7 of 9 tertiary adjunct, tertiary adjunct. I only got to write that once because that took like 15 words. So after that, I could just call it her 7 after that. So that was nice. Yeah.
I am reminded of the Hitchhiker's Guide for the Galaxy entry for Earth. Mostly harmless.
Mostly.
Right? Precise, concise. Yeah.
And Kelli, I can't pronounce the name, but Tilly's friend, Kana Pano Penipin.
Oh, yeah.
That took up a lot of words.
Wait,
Yeah.
one more time.
Oh,
Mihani Ikahali Kapo. And I had to, and each of those is a separate word, and I had to use that many words to introduce her.
I felt bad for you too. I was like, ah.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
crazy.
you guys so much for wasting a little time with us. We've so been looking forward to this, and seriously, just a huge congratulations. This is such a big, cool, important deal. May it sell like crazy, and more importantly, may it serve the purpose you're all hoping it does for the decades to come.
Thanks, Jason.
and that we think it will. It
Yeah,
will be.
no
Hope
question.
so.
I just want, I mean, more than anything else, I want fans to really enjoy it and get something out of it.
Yeah.
And see, I mean, like having worked with these guys for a year plus now, but also I don't think we've really talked about how awesome the Paramount team is.
Well,
Right.
talk about it. Tell us.
Like the 4 of us collectively have a huge knowledge of Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
There are people at Paramount who are reviewing us and supporting us who are like the next level, right? The
Okay.
next tier up. And it's like some of the comments that I've been getting from Paramount is like, Oh yeah. Oh right. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it's not just Dayton, but it's like some of the other folks at Paramount who've been doing
Yeah.
it 40 something years, and I'm just it's just they are an amazing team to work with, and I know that they've been so busy the last 16 months working on everything 60th anniversary related. Like I see it in two directions, right? Because I see how busy they are with Star Trek Adventures stuff, and then I saw how busy they were with DK.
Yeah.
And just like anecdotally, we know broadly how many other 60th anniversary products are coming out from all their hundreds of licensors, right?
Right.
It's the same review team. It's the same little review team doing all of it. And how they're
Incredible.
like you were marveling at like how did we find the time to work on this book? I'm marveling at like how do they find the time to review absolutely everything Star Trek? If you think about like IDW comics and the video game,
Yep.
everything is just it's an amazing amount of work that they're doing. And
Well, Jim and I had Dayton on the show the other day too, and I don't think he said it on the show, I think before, but I was so happy to hear that he said their team is enjoying reading the book. Like
Oh, nice.
they're working on it, but they're enjoying it. And I was like, yes, if we can get them to enjoy it,
awesome.
like that made me
That's a
feel
good
really
sign.
happy. Yeah.
This is a soon to be upcoming episode.
Yeah, it'll be out on June 16th.
Excellent.
We're talking about
Awesome.
To Defy Fate, his new novel with the
Nice.
travelers and all that stuff. So he's coming on to talk about that.
yeah, but yeah, the Paramount shared with me because I was talking to them about the Star Trek Adventure stuff, and then the DK book came up, and I shared it with everybody else that with all the challenges that Paramount has had over the last couple of years with the the merger and everything else,
Yep.
The team at Paramount that are 100% focused on Star Trek, they are really excited to know that there are other passionate fans out there who are really deeply committed to the franchise and wanting to do well by it. And so they're just really excited that this book is coming out
Nice.
and that we're putting all this effort into it, and that DK is putting all their effort into it. So I think it's going to be really good for all those folks to see this thing come out finally when it's done. And I'm excited for them.
Yeah. I think my hope, and I never said this before, but my hope is the same hope that I had for Cisco, that at some level, I hope you all understand this when I say this, at some level that they don't see us, that
Right.
they see the book, and that they see the work and that they enjoy the work and not us, if that makes sense, because when I was a kid or however old I was, and when I saw the Yakutas book and the technical manual, I didn't know anybody from anybody. I just knew the work that was put in and that's what I hope for our book.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could have gone on for hours, and we would do that normally if it were just Jim or just Michael or just Kelly or just Derek,
And
let
have.
alone, yeah,
And have. Yeah.
let alone, but put them all together, in a Zoom with us for an interview, and that could have been it could have transcended the amount of time it would take to play a game of
Yes.
Star
Trek Adventures.
Yeah. So
Kelly, Derek, Jim, Michael, as always, and again, thank you very much, and truly from the both of us, congratulations on being the writers behind Star Trek Timelines, a resource that people are going to now read for the next decades.
And you know what I was thinking about as we were talking with them is I'm thinking to myself, I have to find a way to get a box so that I can ship it to each of them to sign it and then have the postage in the box so that they could ship it to the next person to sign it, because I want them to each sign it, because I want a signed copy.
Or we end up sooner than later going to one of the cons. We have been talking about that.
Yeah.
Might be
Because otherwise,
with the size and weight of that book,
the last thing you'd want is like all of a sudden, poor Derek at his house, and all of a sudden Derek comes to the door. Who are you and why are you at my house? Derek, I just want you to sign. Not to be creepy or anything,
Yeah, bad move,
Poor
Sheldon.
Kelly, poor Derek. Yeah, poor Michael, Derek, Kelly. In-person signage or anything like that.
And I do think
the con
might be the way
they're
to go.
doing
They
Yeah,
are.
they were taught they are, but
Mm.
as they were talking about, they're going it's going to be before the book is released. So we will have to see them afterwards. But now I'm going to have to
Yes.
carry that book with
Hmm.
me
It'll be good
to
for
each of
me.
the cons
Yeah.
until I get them all
It'll just be
individually or at a
good.
group.
It'll be it'll be good. Well, you know what? I mean, we're probably going to see Jim later this summer. I
Yeah.
certainly will.
Yeah,
Kelly
I'll be up there with
is,
you.
yeah, good. Kelly is not a far drive at all. Next time I go out to California, I'll bring both of our copies and have Michael sign them.
Oh, that's a good
And
point. I'll just ship mine to
yeah,
you and you can.
yeah, and then we just have to make pilgrimage to New York because I'm like 20 some years overdue for my next visit. So we'll track down Derek.
But Derek, we promise we'll let you know beforehand so we don't do anything like creepy.
Yeah.
So,
On that note,
um, on that note, let's go to Loot Cafe.
yes.
Um, so I will be honest. The big thing for me, I've
Yeah.
been busy with a bunch of stuff going on,
Yep.
but I did send you a picture this
This is
past
pretty
week.
cool. Yeah.
I have not had a chance to look at it, really.
Oh, I'm thinking of something else.
You are,
I am.
but I got my um fifth season materials
You did.
from Green
I
Ronin
was just thinking about Green Ronin earlier today.
from the Kickstarter from
Nice.
um
How's it look?
and it looks really good. I have it sitting here. I have not looked at it yet. It is probably going to be this weekend before I get a chance to. Um, but it is just high quality material that you would fully expect
Mhm. Green Ronin.
um
They iterate better
from
and better.
yeah,
Yeah.
from our friends at Green Ronin, and we are well overdue. I need to reach
I
out to Troy at Green Ronin and
I meant to text you the same thing this morning, actually. It's been far too long since we've checked in with them.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's excellent.
So
We'll have to talk more about that offline.
and the
Yeah.
dice, it's shard dice, so the dice are very different.
Oh,
So
send me a picture.
I'll have to send you the pictures of them.
Yeah.
So it's very different. They're different. So
But it's
that
still the
was that
3d6.
I believe so,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's
But
still
the
the Age
dice,
engine. Yeah. But the
yeah,
dice themselves are. Okay.
yeah, the dice look different.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's very cool. But I got the core rule book and the DM guide and the dice. So
Okay.
very
Hold
excited
on.
when I saw a package come in. And it was surprising. I've been so busy that I forgot that it was arriving and I saw this package on my front step and I'm like, what? I don't remember ordering anything. And then when I opened it, it was kind of like a surprise because again, I've been so busy, I just haven't ordered anything. Um, so this was like the first RPG like
Yeah. It's been a
box
while.
I've had in quite a while.
Yeah.
So I have it here because I'm that's going to be my weekend thing. It might actually be tomorrow because here in Wisconsin, it's supposed to be in the 90s with heat indexes in the hundreds. So
Oh.
my outdoor work is going to be restricted. I've been doing a lot of
Oh, yeah.
outdoor
Yeah. It's a good day
stuff
to stay in and read
to
RPGs.
stay in. Yeah. How about
Oh.
you?
Well, I was going to talk about our recent revivification of RPGing with some friends, but uh
Oh,
but I'm not.
yes.
Instead, this morning I spent the better part of an hour and wrote. And it's the first time I've done that in a while, and it felt great. So during the academic year, I write for an hour almost every morning, every weekday morning, right? It's on my calendar. I let almost nothing interfere with it meaning wise.
Yeah.
But come summer and summer break, I mean, I'm teaching right now a little bit, but come summers, I tend to back off and give myself just that downtime because it's just good for me as a writer to take a little time off from it.
Yeah.
And I had various projects or whatever, but like very little right now. And I'd been noticing for weeks because so we're recording, and this is just being recorded not too far, not too many days before it drops, maybe a week. And it's early June, and I haven't written since probably like sat down to write since like late April. So it's been like a month and a half, maybe almost two.
Wow.
I do that over the summer, but I've really been missing it. And so I sat down and I had shared something with you and a few others that I'd been writing, a series of sidebars, if you will, just for my own edification, some some Star Trek. I don't even think of it as fan fiction. I wrote kind of an historical little historical treatise, if you will, just a series
Yeah.
of pieces that fit together. And I sent it to a bunch of you. Only one of you sent me any feedback, and that feedback was really helpful. And this is interesting, but it's too academic for your intended audience. And so I'd been sitting on that for weeks. And I finally thought, this was the first morning I'd actually just had, no one else was in the house, which is a rare thing right now, which is lovely. And so I sat down and for about an hour, I rewrote and try to simplify the language, make it more accessible. Still forced myself
Oh,
to write to spec in terms of word number and balance because I just want to be challenged like that. And
yeah.
so it felt great. Like that, it just I've missed it so much and it's something that I can come to and it's a very, very, very small project. Tomorrow morning, I will spend time with it, right up revising once more to really get the language cleaned up, and then I'll probably send it your way. See what you think
Yeah.
of the changes. But yeah, just nice to be back in the saddle to write a bit. Um, and then after this we'll see. But I suspect I will stick to my writing for a while. So that's literally what's
I
on my plate.
have I actually have a writing project that is out there, obviously, that you're well
No,
aware
you've
of.
got till September, so you're good.
No, I know, but I'm not waiting around on it. And
Good. Yeah.
this one's a tougher one this
Yeah, it
time
is.
around for me. Um,
Hmm.
so I actually have been using a writing device
What
that
is
this
interesting?
is this is a
P
um
Pomera?
yeah, it is one of these little writing devices that literally is just a keyboard and a device and it
Look
syncs
at
up and it
that.
saves it as texts.
Yeah,
Um, and I've been using it to um, formulate thoughts and notes right now
nice.
on it because um, this is this I don't want to call it assignment, but this project
Hmm.
isn't about um, this isn't a first person story, as we know.
Right.
This isn't a first person article,
I think this is a tougher
but
one.
this is a much tougher chapter to write.
Hmm.
Um, but what I'm doing is I'm writing because I need to get in the mold. I need to get into the mode of writing, period. Um, just in from a Trek perspective and just a creative perspective. So
Yes.
um I've been using this. So it's an instant on, it just saves it as text
Interesting.
files
Yeah,
and it
okay.
saves it to a Wi-Fi into a folder for me. So I'll
Nice.
send you the link to this thing.
Interesting.
I had it for months. Um, I put it down when things started to get a little hectic for me. And then about 2 weeks ago, when I was cleaning my office,
Good for you.
it was sitting on my desk. And because of me, um, with a lot of my travels that I've been doing, and me not wanting to necessarily carry a laptop, for me,
Yeah.
I can carry this and a phone
Yeah. And it
like
looks like it
this.
weighs nothing.
It weighs nothing.
Yeah.
I can carry this in and out of where I've been going, where I've been going in and out
Yeah.
lately.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me to carry around and it was dirt cheap. It was and it
You said
so
Wi-Fi. What does it synchronize with?
I actually have it synced. I have it synced to OneDrive. So it
Nice.
syncs
Okay.
to just
Okay.
a folder,
Yeah.
just a singular folder in OneDrive. So it's restricted to a folder.
Okay.
And it uploads only. so it's secure, so no one can
Nice.
access. So
Yep.
literally all I'm doing is writing and dumping.
It's a terminal, which is kind of
Yeah,
cool.
that's
Yeah.
really what it is. It's literally a dumb terminal for me to be creative. And I'm using it as kind of a creative writing diary, something for the project that I'm working on,
Yep.
amongst other things. So
Oh, that's neat. That I increasingly I really do I will say I like using I writing wise now this writing project I was doing in Word because that's where I had exported to just so it was a Word doc. But I do like writing in Google Docs now of all things. Because it's
this
such a
is
simple interface is that I think it's similar to what you're using, right? It's just your
this is
page.
just a more modern iteration of what Jim
I
uses.
right,
You know,
right.
this is kind of an iteration of what Jim Johnson and we've talked about with him
Yeah,
over the
that's
years.
interesting. Yeah.
So it's a
And it's
Pomera.
yeah, and you don't have to like again, you can bang it around a little bit. If something were to happen, you're not out anything significant. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, it's durable. It's plastic. It's not metal. The
if
screen is plastic.
if
So
I were nuts, I could get a MacBook Neo and literally there's yours, yeah, literally only use it for writing, but that makes absolutely no sense.
which I'll tell you this as we leave. So
Here we go.
no, which is funny. So I got a text from my son last week,
Yeah.
and my son, the Windows gamer,
Yep.
bought a MacBook Neo.
Nice.
He treated himself as his graduation gift to himself, because
Yep.
he's going to be going to police academy,
Yeah.
um,
Amazing.
and so he wanted a machine to use for that, and so he went and bought that. Well, then a couple days later, my daughter texts me and goes, "Look
Oh,
at this, Dad." She bought a MacBook Neo.
nice.
She's like, she goes, "I saw Trent's, I liked it so much, and it's it's tiny," and she goes, "It's perfect for my small backpack for me to carry to school and everything." So
Yep.
she picked one up. So now they both are carrying around MacBook Neos.
That is pretty
Um,
cool. I mean, what my impression is it's getting great reviews.
it it's I'll be honest with you, the pros have better battery life. It's not like it's
Of
terrible
course.
or anything like that. It's just for I'll be honest with you, for the price for the kids,
Yeah.
it's a really killer laptop for kids to just I would hate to say I don't want to use the term bang around because it's not cheap by any stretch. It's not a
No.
$200 laptop. It's not a
No.
Chromebook.
No.
Um,
But that's the thing.
but
It's not expensive and it is a full
full.
laptop. Yeah.
Yeah, but it runs an A series, it runs an iPhone series chip.
That's right. Sadly, just so that everyone knows, we are sadly not being sponsored by Apple right now.
No, we are
Although we
not.
would welcome that.
But most of our yeah, but most of our technological
Oh,
existence over the
deep in the
past 30,
ecosystem.
40 years has been sponsored by
I mean,
we've been sponsoring Apple for the past
I mean,
40 some years.
I'm not a programmer and I still watch WWDC the other day, like every year, right?
Yeah, which by the way,
Oh man.
I forgot. I had responded to you about you had texted me something about that,
Yeah,
and I had responded to you and then realized that I forgot to hit enter on
I've done that before too.
it.
Well,
So
on that geriatric note,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
senior moment.
yeah, we've all been there. All right, everybody.
Mm,
Again, our true thanks to the Star Trek Timelines writing team. Our deep congratulations, and it goes without saying, you and I both, Brad, are eager to get our hands on this book. And then,
which has been pre-ordered.
oh you beat
Yeah.
me. You beat me. Um
I don't know if I did. I
yeah,
thought you
I think
maybe
so. I
beat me.
think I
Nope.
pre-ordered like 2 days after its release. I think you pre-ordered on the day. Yep,
Okay, maybe I did. I
I
can't
have
remember.
it pre-ordered, and of course, I'm just looking at my calendar. It will release on the 12th. And then I will be gone the 16th to the 19th for a conference, which undoubtedly is when Barnes and Noble will deliver it. But
Yep.
that's fine. That's fine. It'll be waiting for me when I get home. All right, everybody, you know the deal. Thanks as always. be well, stay well. We will see you in a couple weeks.